The Little Red Riding Hood, a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, there was a sweet little girl who was loved by everyone who looked at her. But no one loved her more than her grandmother, who didn't know what to give the child next. One day, she gave her a little red velvet cap, and because it suited her so well and she wanted to wear nothing else, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is sick and weak and will be delighted. Set out before it gets hot, and when you are on your way, be nice and behave. Don't stray off the path, or you might fall and break the bottle, and then your grandmother will have nothing. And when you enter her room, don't forget to say good morning, and don't go looking around in every corner." "I'll do everything just as you say," Little Red Riding Hood promised her mother. Her grandmother lived out in the woods, half an hour from the village. When Little Red Riding Hood entered the woods, she met the wolf, but she didn't know what a wicked animal he was and wasn't afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood," he greeted her cheerfully. "Good day, wolf," she replied. "Where are you going so early, Little Red Riding Hood? And what are you carrying under your apron?" "I'm going to my grandmother's house to bring her cake and wine," she said. "We baked yesterday, and I want to take something to strengthen my sick and weak grandmother." "And where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "About 15 minutes deeper into the woods, under the 3 large oak trees. Her house is surrounded by hazelnut hedges. You must know it," she explained. The wolf thought to himself, "What a tender young thing. She'll be an even tastier morsel than the old woman. If I'm clever, I can catch them both." He walked beside Little Red Riding Hood for a while, then said, "Little Red Riding Hood, look at the beautiful flowers around you. Why don't you stop to admire them? Don't you hear how sweetly the birds are singing? You're walking so seriously, as if you were heading straight to school, and yet the forest is so lovely." Little Red Riding Hood looked around, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing through the trees and all the beautiful flowers, she thought, "If I bring a fresh bouquet to my grandmother, she'll be delighted too. It's still early, and I'll arrive on time." She left the path and wandered into the woods, gathering flowers. Each time she picked one, she thought she'd find an even prettier one further on, and so she went deeper and deeper into the forest. Meanwhile, the wolf went straight to the grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who is there?" asked the poor old grandmother. "Little Red Riding Hood, I'm bringing you cake and wine. Open the door," said the wolf, disguising his voice. "Just push the latch," called out the grandmother. "I'm too weak to get up." The wolf pressed the latch, the door sprang open, and he walked straight to the grandmother's bed without saying a word. He devoured her in one gulp. Then he put on her clothes, placed her cap on his head, lay down in her bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood had been gathering flowers, and when she had so many that she couldn't carry any more, she remembered her grandmother and set out on her way. When she arrived, she was surprised to find the door open, and when she entered the room, she felt something was strange. "Oh dear, how uneasy I feel today," she thought. "I usually love being with my grandmother." She called out, "Good morning," but received no answer. She went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother, with her cap pulled down over her face, looking very odd. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have, the better to hear you with." "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have, the better to see you with." "Oh, grandmother, what big hands you have, the better to grab you with." "But grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have, the better to eat you with." No sooner had the wolf said this than he sprang out of bed and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood in one gulp. After satisfying his appetite, he lay down again, fell asleep, and began snoring loudly. A hunter was passing by the house and thought, "How loudly the old woman is snoring. I should check if something is wrong." He went into the house, and when he saw the wolf lying in the bed, he thought, "So here you are, old sinner. I've been looking for you for a long time." He was about to shoot the wolf when it occurred to him that the wolf might have eaten the grandmother and she could still be saved. So he didn't shoot, but took a pair of scissors and began cutting open the wolf's belly. After a few snips, he saw the red cap shining through. After a few more snips, Little Red Riding Hood sprang out, exclaiming, "Oh, how frightened I was! It was so dark inside the wolf." Then the grandmother also came out, alive but hardly able to breathe. Little Red Riding Hood quickly fetched some large stones, and they filled the wolf's belly with them. When he woke up and tried to run, the stones were so heavy that he collapsed and died. All three were happy. The hunter skinned the wolf and took the pelt home. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine Little Red Riding Hood had brought, and she recovered. Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself, "I'll never stray from the path again or disobey my mother's instructions.